An election is a busy time for the AEC, and it's easy to forget about health, safety and well-being when we're focused on delivering a good election experience for the Australian public. Working at an election generally involves long hours in a busy and often new environment. As AEC employees, we all have an obligation to ensure the health, safety and well-being of our employees, visitors and others that work for us. Any questions should be referred to your supervisor. Some risks that are common during an election are fatigue, slips, trips and falls, effects on mental health and well-being, and physical strains and injuries. You should always be looking out for anything you think may be a risk to you, a colleague or member of the general public. Remove the risk where possible, otherwise let your supervisor know. We all have a duty of care to not look past a hazard or risk. Working long or late hours can be necessary at times, and this is particularly relevant during an election. Everyone in the workplace has a workplace health and safety obligation to ensure fatigue doesn't create a risk. Working in an outposted centre, you may be sitting for long periods counting ballot papers. Walkways must be clear for staff and scrutineers to avoid slips, trips and falls. Throughout the day, it's important to remember that if you see something that could be an issue, attend to it or raise it with your supervisor if you're not sure what to do. It's best to eliminate the hazard altogether, but if that's not possible or practical, we need to find ways to reduce the hazard. It's important that we manage fatigue by taking regular rest breaks to ensure that staff are not injured. Look out for signs of fatigue in others. Make sure that you keep up your fluid intake by drinking plenty of water. Take the time to vary your posture. Take short walks and regularly stand up and stretch. And make sensible commuting decisions. By law, you must take 30 minutes break for every 5 hours worked. Outposted centres are very busy places. There are lots of deliveries and collections happening, and it's very important to manage the risks and put controls in place, such as keeping people and vehicles apart and creating identified areas for loading, unloading and parking outside of the warehouse. You should always be aware of your surroundings and take extra care where people and vehicles are present, making sure that you always follow any directions, particularly when it involves the safety of you and others. If you're unsure of what actions to take, speak with your supervisor about the appropriate risk controls for managing traffic risks in the workplace. Manual handling is a common task, particularly at election time, and it's important to remember to always practice safe techniques when moving objects like ballot boxes or pallets, lift smaller loads, take breaks, and plan any lifting work using trolleys in the proper way to avoid injury. Remembering only to use equipment after you have been properly trained. Ideally, the staff should park as close to the outposted centre as possible when they start their shift and ensure they leave in groups. During evening shifts, particularly after dark, staff shouldn't be left alone to get to their car or transport home. If they are parked some distance away, offer to drive them to their vehicle and consider using a torch if light is poor. It may also be useful to implement a buddy system. Supervisors should monitor staff, and staff monitor themselves for fatigue. If you are concerned about someone or yourself, make sure you raise it with them or your supervisor, as there are things that can be done to assist. Driving home when you are overtired is a danger to yourself and others on the road. And remember, if you see a hazard or something you are concerned about, report it. All staff should have a 30-minute break for every 5 hours worked. Keep up your fluids and eat healthy meals. Make sure you change your posture regularly. Always lift safely and use trolleys when needed. Always be aware of your surroundings. We want to eliminate hazards where possible or minimise the risk. You are responsible for your own health and safety and that of others around you. We all have a duty of care to not look past a hazard or risk. At the end of the day, the AEC want you to return home safely. Authorised by the Electoral Commissioner, Canberra.